Hurry up and unpack, maid. My parents are coming soon, so don't cause any trouble, okay? Ethan, I wasn't informed about living with your parents. Of course, you weren't. I decided this by myself. There's no need to tell you. You just need to listen to what I say without complaining. If you have a problem, you can leave, right? It's absurd. Deciding unilaterally to live with the in-laws. And Ethan went ahead with buying a new house without discussing it. Moreover, he dumped all the moving preparations on me. It's unbelievable, but I wasn't surprised at that moment. Because I knew everything. And I had already taken preemptive actions. Okay. I'll start unpacking right now. So, where are your belongings? Huh? I left the moving preparations to you, didn't I? You should at least keep track of where the stuff is. Oh, sorry. I just remembered. Your belongings aren't here. So, I can't unpack them. As I calmly informed him, his face instantly changed color. His irritation was at its peak due to my defiant attitude. What is that attitude towards your husband? Are you getting carried away because we moved to a new house? Don't get ahead of yourself, you're just a maid. He vented his anger loudly, not caring about the onlookers. Several passers-by seemed to notice the strange atmosphere and chose to ignore it. Amidst this, I smiled inwardly. Who is really getting carried away? Who is really getting ahead of themselves? I will make him understand. While Ethan and I were glaring at each other, the in-laws arrived at our new home. They must have been looking forward to a new life. But their faces turned somber as they sensed the tense atmosphere. I heard Ethan's loud voice. What happened? Lucy, if there's a problem, don't hesitate to speak up. We're family now, after all. We should talk things through without holding back. They spoke to me calmly and kindly. Living with Ethan wasn't always pleasant, but I cherished the moments spent with the in-laws. I was able to make it through thanks to them. Gratitude naturally flowed from my lips. Thank you for your concern, father and mother. But this time, it's my fault for making him angry. I accidentally sent his belongings to another place. It's only natural he's upset. They were surprised to hear this. It was unusual for me to make such a mundane mistake. Since our marriage, I had strived to be the perfect wife for Ethan. Cooking, cleaning, laundry, I never slacked off. For him, this might have been expected, but the in-laws appreciated my efforts. Thank you for always caring. We're glad you are his wife. They had often expressed such kind words. So, when they heard about this mistake, unlike Ethan, they didn't shout but continued smiling and asked for clarification. Then, do you know where you sent it? As long as we know the place, we can retrieve it quickly. So, Ethan, please calm down. Well, if you say so. Ethan nodded reluctantly, suppressing his anger. Even Ethan couldn't act tough in front of his parents who raised him. Remembering his oppressive attitude before they arrived made my blood boil. But I couldn't get emotional if I wanted to complete my revenge. I took a deep breath to calm myself, then casually revealed the truth. Actually, I sent his belongings to his affair partner's house. What? Did I hear that wrong? Did I just hear the word affair? You misheard, it's a misunderstanding, and it's totally unrelated. In a panic, he shouted loudly, his voice drowning out his parents. He was visibly flustered, spitting as he spoke, his eyes wide open. However, being accustomed to lying, he quickly regained his composure. The cold sweat that had briefly appeared was now gone, and he was smiling coolly. Sorry for raising my voice suddenly. That statement caught me off guard. I was just shocked. An affair is some kind of mistake. I'm married to Lucy, right? I wouldn't do anything to destroy that trust. But Lucy isn't someone who would say such outrageous things without any basis, right? Yes, I'm shocked, but we need to hear both sides. Seeing his parents still uncertain, Ethan plastered on a friendly smile and placed his hands on their shoulders. Dad, Mom, I'm your son. I wouldn't do anything to upset you. Sure, couples fight, and when you walk down the street, you might feel a spark with someone attractive. But that's all it is. We swore love to each other. I wouldn't act thoughtlessly. Can we trust you? You're our son, so you must be responsible for your words, right? Of course. Work has just been really busy recently, and Lucy is just feeling lonely. She probably just said this lie to get my attention. Isn't that right, Lucy? Turning to face me, his mouth was still smiling, but his eyes were not. Agree with me, don't say anything unnecessary, his inner voice seemed to say. Had I still been the compliant wife, I might have caved at this moment. But having prepared everything, I had nothing to fear. Instead of flinching, I responded with the biggest smile. Not at all. What, you? What are you starting to say? My defiance was clearly unexpected, as he looked far more flustered than before. As he tried to close the distance from his parents and approach me, the voice of the in-laws intervened first. What do you mean by a not at all? Is your version different from Ethan's? I deeply appreciated the fairness of them. Although we had legally become a family, it's common for biological children to be favored. I had wished to remain family with these wonderful people, but that was no longer possible. At least to repay their kindness so far, I felt the need to tell them the truth. Actually, he has been treating me like a maid on a daily basis. He dumped all the preparations for the move on me. Moreover, I wasn't even informed about living with you until we arrived at this new house just earlier. He threatened to throw me out if I should object to living together. What? That's completely different from what we were told. He told us that you were all for it. So, was it just his unilateral decision? The in-laws, looking incredulous, eventually focused their gaze on Ethan. Ethan, faced with their silent questioning, vehemently defended himself. That's nonsense. I definitely explained everything to her. She's just playing dumb. She's taking advantage of your kindness. Trying to get back at me because I haven't been paying attention to her. Don't be fooled. It's hard for us too when you both make such conflicting claims. There's no solid proof for either claim. This is just a fruitless argument. What a mess. Perhaps frustrated by their ambiguous stance, he started yelling at me without restraint. Lucy. Stop throwing a tantrum already. You're confusing Dad and Mom, and me too. Let's discuss this more openly and honestly instead of lying. I am speaking openly and honestly. It's you who are trying to twist things. Father, you said it's just a fruitless argument without evidence, right? Then, let me show you some evidence right now. What? It was Ethan, not the father-in-law, who was surprised by the word evidence. Ignoring his displeased face, I pulled out a voice recorder from my pocket. As I pressed the play button, his true nature was revealed. Hurry up and unpack, maid. My parents are coming soon, so don't cause any trouble, okay? Ethan, I wasn't informed about living with your parents. Of course, you weren't. I decided this by myself. There's no need to tell you. You just need to listen to what I say without complaining. If you have a problem, you can leave, right? Listening to the audio, he dropped the keys to the new house. They clattered loudly on the stone steps. Hey, what was that? What do you mean, what? That's what you said to me just a moment ago. Have you already forgotten? Are you starting to suffer from dementia? That's not what I mean. Why the hell did you record that? People don't normally carry around voice recorders. Ethan seemed unaware of how rough his tone had become. He didn't realize the suspicious glares of his parents piercing through his back. That's because of how you usually treat me. What did you say? I've reached my limit with your bullying. But you have such a good public image that no one would believe me just based on what I say. If you could smooth things over like earlier, it would all be over. That's not acceptable. I wanted to get out of this situation. So I've been collecting objective evidence by carrying a voice recorder. What, you can't just do whatever you want. Just as he was about to grab me, another hand reached out from behind him. My father-in-law pulled him back by the shoulder. As Ethan turned to face them, they looked furious. Ethan. What was that audio about? Weren't you able to stand by your own words? And what is this of bullying she is talking about? That's a separate issue from the cohabitation and the affair, right? The way you spoke in that audio sounded very oppressive. You haven't always been treating her like that, have you? Ethan, faced with the irate expressions of his parents, turned pale, forgetting his anger. It was hard to believe that this mere shadow of himself was the same person as the man who had dominated me for so long. No, it's not like that. I guess I got too carried away with the excitement of starting a new life. I apologize for saying unpleasant things. But I never regularly hurt Lucy. Is that really true? Can we actually believe that this time? Everyone makes mistakes. But forgiveness is only granted once. Repeating the same error isn't acceptable. It's common sense for any adult, isn't it? I swear, I do swear. I haven't been harassing Lucy regularly. It's the truth. Thank you for your promise. Now, let me clarify the truth. With a smile, I reached for the voice recorder again and played another recording. This time, Ethan's crude laughter filled the air. Hey, maid, there's dust on the shelf. Are you slacking off on cleaning despite being just a maid? Someone who doesn't work needs punishment. Sleep in the hallway tonight. Don't you dare bring a blanket. As more of his derogatory comments played, the faces of the in-laws reddened like a volcano ready to erupt. Unable to bear it any longer, Ethan screamed in a voice that cracked under the strain. All right, I admit it. I have been tormenting you regularly. Please stop the recording. I complied with his plea and pressed the stop button. The area fell silent immediately, except for Ethan's ragged breathing. I've stopped it as you asked. Now, will you truly apologize? Not only me, but the in-laws also stared at him intensely. Swallowing nervously and hanging his head down, he apologized. I'm truly sorry for the hurtful words I've thrown at you. I promise never to demean you again. No one responded. We just continued to stare at him. Initially compliant, Ethan raised his face soon. Oh, it hurts. My neck. I didn't say you could raise your face yet. Nor did I say you could speak. Since when do I need permission? I'm the one suffering a neck pain here. Haven't I apologized enough? Whether an apology is sufficient isn't for the one apologizing to judge. It should be judged by the one receiving the apology. But let's leave it at that for now. We're not finished talking. As I smiled, he looked utterly dejected. What now? You still have something to say? I'm telling you, I haven't cheated. Don't worry. It's not about cheating. It's something a bit more amusing. Take a look at this. I pulled out my smartphone and played a video. The in-laws leaned over to look beside him. Is this the bedroom of you two? There's Ethan coming in. he's pulling something out of the drawer. A wallet? Oh. He's taking money out? This was what I wanted to show you. Fun, isn't it? Ethan? He stared at the smartphone, his face turning ashen. His lips trembled and slowly turned a shade of purple. This is my secondary wallet. This frilly, glittery long wallet? Besides, this drawer is part of my vanity. Are you saying you've been keeping your wallet in my vanity drawer? He fell silent, unable to respond. The in-law's piercing gaze seemed to demand a confession. But he just looked down, lips tightly sealed. Going silent when it's inconvenient, just like a child. Well, that's fine. I'll explain to your parents. Lately, money has been disappearing from my wallet bit by bit. If it were a one-time thing or if my bank card had been missing, I might suspect a burglar. Unfortunately, it's just the cash that keeps getting skimmed. Glancing at him, I saw his face was as red as a beet, his gaze still fixed on the ground. If he had been a saintly man, I wouldn't have doubted him, but in reality, he's been a cruel and wicked person who's been tormenting me. I installed a camera to uncover the truth. And this video is the result. This is unbelievable. My father-in-law muttered as if talking to himself. The shock must be immense, thinking his only son, whom he cherished, had finally started a family, only to be bullying that family and even stealing money. My mother-in-law seemed to have lost the strength to speak, only sighing deeply. I haven't stolen anything. Why would I need to? I work and earn money. I have enough money. I'm not a beggar. Despite the evidence from the camera, he still awkwardly continued to make excuses. But perhaps that's understandable. Admitting to stealing would inevitably lead to probing into his motives. The truth is, Ethan started stealing money after deciding to buy a new house a few months ago. After obtaining decisive evidence with the camera, I started investigating why he was stealing money from me. That's when I first discovered he was financing his affair. With such clear evidence right here, do you still plan to struggle? Just admit it clearly. You needed the money for your affair. No. I definitely haven't been having an affair. The name of your affair partner is Rebecca, isn't it? I don't know her. She's a fictional character. I couldn't help but sigh. It's frustrating to see him continue to deny this so stubbornly. Likely because there's no concrete evidence yet regarding the affair. But one would think it's obvious. Both the bullying and the theft were meticulously clarified. It's unlikely that only the affair would be ambiguous. I threw at him the investigation report on the affair I had received from the detective agency. As he picked up the pages detailing the evidence, the color drained from his face. Conversely, the in-laws' faces turned red with blood rushing to their heads. They clenched their teeth so hard I worried they might break. Both of them shouted loudly without regard for anyone around. What is this, Ethan? After claiming all this time there was no affair, now you're cornered with undeniable evidence. If you were going to end up showing such a disgraceful side, you should have admitted your guilt from the start. Do you even have a human heart, you bringer of parental misfortune? Parents worry about their children no matter how old they get. But you've gone beyond worry to outright disgust. What were you thinking, deceiving your own family? Not just Lucy, you lied to us, your parents too? Contrasting with the intense anger of his parents, Ethan's expression grew even colder. After they had finished shouting, Ethan let out a long sigh and then said something outrageous. Well. It all came out in the end. I was supposed to do this more skillfully. Oh well. I was planning to ditch you all anyway. It's just happening a bit sooner than planned.
Yeah.
What do you mean, Ethan? What do you mean by saying you're going to ditch us too? They lowered their voices and demanded the truth. By now, he was no longer trying to hide his malevolence. It seemed he had completely given up. What do you mean? What do I mean? I bought this beautiful new house to live with my beloved Rebecca. I've been pressuring Lucy with sudden cohabitation and dumping all the moving responsibilities on her, making her want a divorce. Once I'm single, it'll be easy. I'll just give you a plausible reason to leave. Family can be easily managed with a little sweet talk. How could you? You were thinking such foolish things? What do you think of Lucy and us? Shame on you. Intentionally harming someone's psyche is nothing short of a crime. They unleashed their greatest anger of the day, but he just laughed it off. You all were just stepping stones for me to meet Rebecca. Gracefully accept that you've been ditched by me for Rebecca. Huh? He unabashedly spouted vile lines. But suddenly stopped laughing because I started laughing louder than him. This caused Ethan and the in-laws as well to look puzzled. What's so funny? It's creepy. It's just so absurd. How could I not laugh? I've already spoken to Rebecca, you see. That's why I know her true nature. To her, you are just an ATM. What? What nonsense are you spouting now? You must be jealous of her, huh? Give up. Unlike you, she is beautiful and has grace. You never stood a chance from the start. Indeed, Rebecca is a beautiful woman. I was surprised when I first saw her. But think about it. Do you really believe you're attractive enough to be chosen by such a beauty that everyone notices? His confident smile quickly distorted, and he let out a short moan, followed by heavy snorts. Rebecca is also a beautiful person on the inside. That's why she fell for my personality. Anyway, don't get in the way of someone's love life just because you weren't chosen. A person beautiful on the inside wouldn't have an affair with a married man. You say you bought the new house for her, but I don't think she plans to live with you. She just transferred me the compensation and quickly moved to a high-rise apartment with another man. What? Another man? Look, here's a photo of Rebecca's cohabiting partner. He's quite handsome. You're not ugly, but compared to this young guy, as different as night and day. Ethan trembled as he took the photo from me, then froze with his mouth agape. The photo showed the stunningly beautiful man holding hands with Rebecca in harmony. Large tears started rolling down his cheeks. This can't be true. Why not go and check for yourself? She was quite boastful about this high-rise apartment. I know the address. Oh, the address, could it be? Suddenly, the mother-in-law exclaimed and joined the conversation, to which I smirked. That's right, mother. That's the high-rise apartment where I sent Ethan's belongings. As I confidently stated this, Ethan finally collapsed to his knees. His arms dangled lifelessly as he sat on the floor. I see. What goes around comes around. Well, I don't feel sorry for him. He even tried to deceive us, his parents. It seems his punishment came swiftly. They sighed in dismay. It seemed he had no energy left to fight back, so I decided to deliver the final blow. Ethan, your scheme was poorly executed. You know that, right? If you're going to deceive someone, you should be prepared to be deceived yourself. I will never forgive you for deceiving not just me but also your kind father and mother. He said nothing, just hanging his head down in silence. Tears quietly fell to the floor. The in-laws and I exchanged looks and silently left the scene. Afterwards, Ethan began living alone in the spacious new house, but peace did not last long. One day, suddenly, Rebecca's boyfriend burst in, and a fierce fight erupted. The commotion and shouting were so severe that the neighbors, shocked by the noise, called the police. It turned out that the cause was his belongings I had sent to Rebecca. As Ethan had no idea about her main partner, the man also had no idea about him. This was triggered by the sudden arrival of the packages, revealing their relationship. Additionally, the packing slip attached to the items had Ethan's address and phone number. That's why the man came charging over. The expensive furniture that Ethan had purchased, dreaming of a life with Rebecca, was severely damaged during the scuffle. The wallpaper and the wooden floor were also heavily damaged, plunging him into deeper despair. Meanwhile, it turned out that Rebecca had several other affairs other than Ethan and the man from the high-rise apartment. However, this police incident, the fights between the men, seemed to have been an eye-opener, as all of them realized that further involvement with Rebecca would lead to nothing good. She was eventually abandoned by all. Having lost everything, Rebecca began to show up at Ethan's place again, seeking refuge. His phone was filled with texts and calls from morning till night, and she frequently visited the new house. According to neighborhood rumors, a young woman was often seen lurking around the new house. Ethan gradually became terrified of leaving his house and spent his days with the shutters and curtains perpetually closed. He quit his job and only took on work that could be done from home, living a life shadowed by fear of Rebecca while deteriorating both mentally and physically. As for me, I am now fully devoted to my work. Perhaps because I no longer have unnecessary worries, I enjoy going to work every day. My performance has been recognized by my superiors, and I will be promoted to a higher position for the next fiscal year. Now that I have more financial freedom, I made a point of thanking the in-laws again. Without their support, it wouldn't have been possible to corner him so smoothly. They are truly kind people who treated me like their own daughter. I plan to live this new phase of my life positively and cherish it as a way to repay the in-laws for their kindness.